Good early afternoon. It's Saturday. I got a bunch of stuff done this morning, so I really didn't get out to the garden until now. But yesterday I did get out and pick up some more blocks, and I went to the other big box store, the orange one, as opposed to the blue one, where I picked up those blocks. And I don't know how well it's going to show, but they are definitely a different color. So I'm debating now, like mixing them up like I did the stones on the top, just so it doesn't look like it went from old to new back to old or something like that. But there's only so much I can get done today, and then I'll probably be back at it tomorrow. But I guess what I need to do is I need to deal with this pile here, get that sifted and out of the way, and that'll open up the space so I can actually get the last couple of base blocks in. And then realistically, moving the ones on the top is not a big deal. The only thing is, you've probably seen me packing soil into the blocks. It basically just makes them that much heavier. But if I pack it hard, then it doesn't all fall apart when I go to pull the blocks out if I need to shift things around. So I'll probably have to move a couple of these stones here. I have stacked up the remaining 6, I think it is. Yeah, 6. That will go the rest of the way. And then I had some others that I just had to kind of get out of the way from somewhere else. So just a lot of moving stuff around and sifting soil. So I think that's going to be the program for today, for at least as long as I can get to it. There are other things going on this afternoon, so it's just a busy day. Let's see what we can get done. Okay, it's a little bit later, and I've moved part of the pile, but that's because I've been sifting, and I basically started running out of room. There's a little bit of breathing room left, but I got to the point where I was able to put one more of the base blocks in, so that leaves me with, I believe I have the base block down here that I need to clean up, and then I got the one that I broke. So I got a couple of pieces there, and if it doesn't fit with that much, I'm going to have to figure out what to do. But that's kind of where I am. Move the pile of soil just so I could actually get the blocks in there. Once I get the blocks in there, then I can get back to the, I don't know if you can quite see the end of the landscape fabric there. That's the drainage, so I want to complete the drainage. Once I got that done, it opens up the possibilities. I can move the blocks around, I can start setting up the wall, and then I can really start backfilling. And that'll be a really good feeling once I'm done with the wall. But first thing I got to do is actually get the last couple of blocks in. So here we go. Well, hopefully that gives you an idea of the process. Now you can kind of see I got the last couple of blocks laid. I put the drainage in behind, and I've just put a thin layer of soil on top, basically to keep the pieces of the landscape fabric together. That's not final backfill by any stretch of the imagination. I still got soil to sift. I got to go through these blocks and figure out what I'm going to do in terms of, because some of them are new and some of them are old, and how I'm going to mix it so it doesn't look so weird. I think I'm just going to mix them like I did with the pavers on the top. But the other thing I got to do is pull out the blocks, put them up there, and just see how it all fits, so I can have a final plan with the upper blocks. Even if they're not in their final position, they're not filled with soil, they don't have, they're not mixed So I've still got to do that just to kind of figure out where I am on that. But this is a good feeling to finally have it all the way to the end, and probably have enough blocks. That's what I'm about to find out. Okay, I do believe it's quitting time, and I've figured a couple of things out. There's one that's still kind of a mystery, but the question of the different colored blocks. I just counted the blocks and realized that I have 11 of these newer colored blocks, the tan, not the sort of grayish ones. And if you count the number of whole blocks on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it's a weird step down, but I've got 11 of the tan blocks. I've got 11 blocks on the top. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to put the older blocks and the new ones I just got, which I think match that better. But those are going to go basically in the middle row, and then the tan blocks will go on the top row. So it'll look like a band of color, which I think will work out. On this end, I knew I needed to step down because I didn't want to be higher than that step in the original wall. So I realized I had a couple more of these red pavers that aren't set to be on the top. And so I can fit them in there. Right now they're actually cantilevered over the front slightly, but once I backfill with the soil, I'll be able to push them back a little bit further. So they'll be flush with the wall. And then I was trying to figure out what on earth do I do with this space here or on the opposite end. And I had another one of these, but it just misses by like a ½ an inch. It won't squeeze in there. I could try to move all these top ones over a ½ an inch, so that's a possibility. If I'm pulling it all apart just to make that change, I could change a ½ an inch on this end, although I'm slightly overhung on that end. But that's not the worst thing. I could come over another ½ an inch, or actually no, I can overhang by ½ an inch on this end. Something like that. No, I would actually need to move these two pavers on the top over by a ½ an inch, so I can move this entire thing over by a ½ an inch, that half a block, and then everything working its way down. The only other question is there a difference in width between the older new slump stone and the newer new slump stone? But you kind of get my drift there. If I went over by a ½ an inch, I need to figure out how much I'm actually off by, but that would then put me in a position to fit one more in there and not have to do this weird sort of soldier bricks thing, which is just going to be, if somebody decides to step up on the wall here, that's just going to be a trip point. I think it'd be better to do 3 across down there, so it's kind of what I'm thinking. I got to figure out how much of a difference that is. But then I've also got to fill in all of these blocks with soil. I've got to finish backfilling all of this. There's just so much more to do. I think it's better to leave it for tomorrow, and it's probably doable. So I'll leave it at that until tomorrow. Good Sunday morning to you. I think we're gonna get pretty close to a finishing point today. And I wanted to start on this end, and I got stuff to clear off. Basically what you're about to see is essentially me tearing apart the wall and rebuilding it, all in one sort of effort. I kind of covered this at the end of the yesterday's video. Yeah, the colors are off, and I'm going to fix the color problem. But I also need to, there's a number of these blocks that haven't been filled in, like that one is filled in. But in order to tear it all apart, I'm going to have to remove all the caps and anything on top of the wall. I'm going to have to get stuff kind of moved around to a point where I think I'll just have to like take the blocks and maybe put them at the base of the wall, which probably means I should actually just do a real quick sweep up. So I mean, there's all these little things to consider. I also need to figure out getting this one paver in there where the bricks are, and how much of a difference in distance that is, how much I need to move the blocks over. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is once I get everything out, I'll start rebuilding from this side of the wall going that way, because then I can fit those in and go from there. So that's what you're about to see. I'm just going to kind of put you on the tripod and you get to watch the whole crazy thing, and hopefully this doesn't take me more than a couple of hours. I'll probably put an album on and listen while I'm time-lapsing and get stuff done, and then come back when the album's over. So here we go. Well, it's been, what, an hour and 12 minutes compressed into time-lapse, and then probably compressed yet again in editing. But I've started building from that end. I've gotten to a point, I think you can see the bricks I put in there at the very end. Those are basically because I'm about to go up, I'm going up a level here, so I want to keep the dirt that I'm putting in from falling out and going into the lower level. That's why they're there. And now I basically, rather than tearing all of the blocks out, I realized I don't have to do that. I can actually pull it apart a bit at a time and rebuild from that end. Also, I'm taking the level and taking one more shot at trying to get it that much more level than it is, because it undulates a little bit right now. So hopefully this will get me a little bit closer. I'm not aiming for absolute perfect, but it would be nice if it looked reasonably straight. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm going to continue that process for as long as it takes to get it done. So I guess I'll go listen to, I kind of screwed up. I said I was going to listen to an album. I set it on artist, and it just started playing random songs by that artist. So I have multiple albums. It is what it is. I'm going to keep going. I got to get a couple more blocks in, I think, before I start putting the caps on. And I've also realized that I think I've got enough soil to fill everything in, but I've still got this pile right here that needs to be dealt with. So I think I'm going to pull that out and sift it next, just to get it out of the way. Because at some point I'm going to end up moving it off to the side just to get it out of my way. So I might as well just go ahead and take it and sift it and go from there. That's pretty much where we are. So I'll go another hour or so, and then I'll give you an update. It's been about another hour. I've been struggling with some stuff because it looks like the blocks are going on the top row there. They're not really all that consistent, but now what I've decided to do is just go ahead and kind of pack a little bit of soil between the middle and top row as if it was mortar, and hope it doesn't all slip and create problems. I know mortar would be ultimately the best way to do it, and I think we actually have some, but I really don't want to get into digging all that up. I've pulled some of the blocks on the left there, so you can see when you pack the soil, it kind of supports itself, at least for a little bit, long enough maybe for me to be able to get the blocks out that I need to get out, and then start filling in where I need to fill in and ultimately reconstruct. But now what I'm doing is backfilling behind the stuff on the right, because I want to be able to put up some of the pavers so I can move some of the pots that I have sitting on top of the wall, which are preventing me from removing the pavers that are there. So it's just, again, it's that puzzle where you have to just keep shifting things around, and I'll eventually get it. It's just bit by bit and trying to make everything kind of a little bit more level than it was, so it's just going to take some time. So that's where I am right now. Making progress here. I'm not quite backfilled completely, but I got that much left to backfill. I'm kind of rebuilding the wall, like I said, from the right side coming back this way. And as it turns out, that gap in the wall is just slightly less than the block that could fit in there. So I'm going to have to basically pull the next block out, get that block, it just keeps shifting over until I get all the way to the end and figure out how all that works. One thing at a time, I got to get that. The other sort of update on all of this is that I took care of sifting that pile, and this is what's left in this one. I still have one of the small bins and the other large bin, so I definitely have enough. I mean, it should be enough soil to backfill over there. So that's where things stand. I'm gonna keep going. Whew, it is done. I think it's been a couple more hours actually since the last update. I just kind of kept going because, yeah, okay, we got some overhangs on this end of the wall and some pieces that kind of stick out a bit. I could probably refine that a bit, but it's all on this end of the wall. The rest of it has all been set. The pavers are on the top. I've had to move stuff back and forth, so that's why there's a bunch of pots on the wall and various things down here. I've got a little more cleaning up to do. I've got the stuff out front that I hosed down. I probably need to hose these down too, but I think I'm gonna clean up a little bit here, and then I'll bring that stuff and just pile it here for the time being. Ultimately, a lot of those 8x16s I was thinking are going to go over here, because this is where we keep the pool stuff, pool chemicals and such, and that'll come out only just so far. The bricks, I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with the remaining bricks, but then I've got, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 pavers on this side. So it's a question of, do I split it, put 7 on this side, 7 on that side? Do I have another one sitting out front? Just trying to do things somewhat symmetrical, but also make it so that there's kind of a, I guess, a planting area in the middle. There's a lot of space here. It may not look like it at the moment, but once I get stuff sort of organized and piled on top of each other, you know, reasonably well stacked, I can leave a bunch of these pots up along the top of the wall. The only thing is going to be I'll have to pull them back down when I get to moving up there, or shift them over or something, but there's been a lot of work. But I'm happy that I've managed to build a 20-foot wall. And with that, I think I will wrap up this. Well, I'll wrap up for today. Let's see where we are on the video. I may wrap up the video itself as a midweek. It'll probably come out middle of next week. We'll see. It's just a lot of things to think about while I'm also thinking about the wall, but there it is. It's the wall itself is done. I still need to deal with all the stuff down below and all the stuff up above, and then eventually start building my way up the hill. So that's it for now. Hey folks, it's the next day. I can't seem to stay away from this project. I did get some errands run, a couple other things to figure out on other things, but I'm looking at this. I've been thinking about what I can do with the area down below, and I've also been thinking about that huge bin full of gravel which didn't get used in the drainage. I mean, I did the drainage and I still have that much. I mean, let me show you. This is just nuts how much I have left over. I've got this entire bin here left over, plus a bin plus some larger rocks. I started kind of separating out the larger bits. Not too sure what I'm going to do with the larger ones just yet, but there's enough gravel in here. I think I can do something. Let me kind of give you an idea. The other thing I just noticed is this riser here for the sprinklers. The distance between that and the wall is about 24 inches, just over, so I can fit 2 pavers in there. But I noticed that when I get to this end, the pipe moves. It's just how it was set up, and so it's only about 22 inches, even though I kept the wall in the back there the same distance from the leading edge of this wall, so that everything would be parallel. But what I'm thinking, honestly, is I'm going to get this stuff out of the way, but I need a pad to step on to work my way up the hill as I terrace it. Actually, it'll probably move in a little bit as I go, but I'm thinking on this end I should have a pad that I can step on, so I'm not relying on stepping on the very edge of the wall here. I just need to have a pathway, and I'm going to need a pathway on each of the levels of the terracing so I can get up to the next level easily without potentially trampling plants that I've planted. I've also got to figure out, how deep does each one of these levels need to be for me to be able to walk sort of right to left or left to right, depending on what country you're in, without trampling the plants. So I've got to figure that one out too. But down here is pretty well set. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to excavate out here, and I'm going to lay down, this I was already thinking about, these 8x16 pavers, actually capstones, but they're all sort of concrete colored and not all that interesting. So I think these are going to go over there in a sort of a herringbone pattern, not exactly. But what I want to do is I want to excavate out even further so that I can ultimately put gravel in there that'll use up the gravel. It'll create a drainage pad, and then I can put the pavers on top of it. So hopefully that makes some sense. Now I'm going to go ahead and get some things moved and see what it takes to do this. Nuts. It quit on me. But probably about 2 hours, and this is what it's looking like. Unfortunately, this is not the design I had in mind. I had to adapt as I was going. The idea was I was going to, these are supposed to be 16 by 8, and I figured out that I could fit, in 24 inches I could put a 16 and I could put an 8, and so I had a particular design, but what I forgot was this pipe here is at about 22 inches, not 24, because the thing that I mentioned in a little blurb before I did the time lapse, the fact that on the other end, on that end of the wall, it's closer to the wall, so it kind of messed things up. And I mean, I got so far into building it, I figured I might as well finish. The original plan was this was going to be kind of the area for putting all the pool chemicals and such. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board, figure out exactly what I want to do. But that's only 4 feet out of 22. So, yeah, we'll have to come up with some kind of plan. At least I got something done. I got something built. It looks reasonably nice. I think once it's washed off, once the sprinklers go off and kind of hose it down for me, it should kind of pop a little bit more than it is right now. It's a good area for being able to like put a plant and then start carrying it up into the terracing, although it's actually, now that I look at it, way off to the side of the terracing, and it's not quite long enough to accommodate the pool chemicals. We had 3 bins, all about 18 inches wide, and that's 4 feet, and I'll let you do the math on that one. Or I'll just tell you, 56 inches is what I would need to accommodate all 3 of those, and I only have 48. I'm short by 8 inches. I could, in theory, extend what I've done there, make it go over a little bit further. It probably wouldn't be that hard. I can cut a piece of the landscape fabric to fit in, but I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. I wanted to get something done in the garden today, and I have. Whether it'll stay like this, I don't know. I hate to lose a couple hours of work on a change of mind, but we'll see. I'll think about it. We'll come back at it tomorrow. Good Tuesday morning to you. It's cool and drizzly. Supposed to clear up later and then do it again tomorrow, but I got a few different things to try and figure out, so let's walk out from under cover here. It's not that bad. Just tiny little droplets is kind of like being in a, I don't know. Anyway, I've been trying to figure out, let's see, let's just start with the one that's on my brain right now. I was thinking, okay, I want to take this part of the sprinkler system, this zone, and make it all about sprinkling the entire terracing area. Wow, I'm just realizing I'm going to have trouble in the future fitting the entire terracing area into the shot. That means I may have to climb up on the wall and go for an adventure. I'll have to figure that one out too. But the sprinkler system, I was thinking, okay, we'll tap off of this one, we'll go back through that little gap there and back up the hill to get to the next level, and I'm going, okay, well, that's going to be a pipe going over to an elbow, and then how do I twist the pipe into here? I mean, I need an elbow, actually a T coming off of here, and I was trying to figure this whole thing out, and then I realized there's another riser right there. So I can take some measurements, I can tee off of that, tee off of that, so I still have a riser there, and then take the tee back in this direction, and that should take care of any issues there. And then basically I just want to be able to have sort of a starting point here, and then I will figure out the piping for the next level when I build the next level, or when I get to building the next wall, because I'm not going to plant anything up above until I get to building that wall. And then, speaking of planting, I went through and figured out, okay, this is going to change, even though I spent all that effort yesterday. I don't think it's going to be a huge thing for me to change it, but basically, like I was saying yesterday, it's not quite long enough. It's only the 48 inches, and I need the, let's get this right this time, 54 inches. 18 by 3 is 54. That's what I'm trying to say. So I need a 54-inch pad here to handle the 3 18-inch. I might as well go a little bit further than that. So I'm going to put effectively 4 of the pavers, the 12-inch pavers, side by side, and then 1 more of these 8 by 16s. So that'll be 48 plus 8, 56. So it's a couple more inches. And then there'll be the bricks that are there basically to keep the gravel from migrating into the what will be the planting bed. So the planting bed will start probably about here, something like that, and then work its way across. And there'll be another one of these pads on the other end. That's basically so that I then have a place where I can step to work my way up the hill. So this will be the main place that I am climbing up the terracing to get towards the top, eventually towards the top of the hill. And it's right next to the garbage can here. Basically I can put the small step stool and work my way up and then keep going, just for safety. And I want to make it wide enough that I could put a fairly large pot there and then be able to carry it up and just go step at a time as I go up. So that's the thinking on that. I think I've got the plumbing figured out. So really, I guess the next thing is, aside from going out shopping to actually get the materials to do the plumbing, and then having to tear apart the wall, the upper wall over there, I have to pull out those pavers. Actually, I guess the next thing is, because I need to get these pavers out and figure out what colors I've got, which is interesting, which isn't. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is pull all these pavers out to the front yard and hose them down like I did the others. Now to pick the 4 least interesting of the pavers, possibly this one, because these are going to go, yeah, this one just doesn't match anything, so that one's going to go. Let me actually kick it out. And let me get that one out first. But the idea here is that these are going in that pad that I built yesterday, mainly because they will slow down, maybe not prevent weeds, but slow them down. And because I'm picking the 4 least interesting, because they're going to be hidden underneath the bins that are going on that end. So I'm looking at this one versus the others. No, it's about the same color, but I could probably take this one out of play. And then just, that's 3. I need 1 more. Boom, 4. That, and then if you look at the spacing here, it's going to be a similar spacing to what the planting area is going to look like, so that'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea. Coming up. But first I need to rebuild this area, extend it out a little. It also occurred to me that trying to shape the hill here to match what we're doing probably makes sense to do that today along with this, because it could actually, I could have soil starting to run down and into this, so better to just kind of deal with it all at once. Start shaping the hill on the back, working our way across, which means I got to move some of these pots. So now I got something planned, time to execute. What's that song? One thing leads to another. um, okay, there's the pipe that runs to that sprinkler. It looks like it's pitching down just slightly, but I had to I'm trying to figure out, I'm excavating out to figure out what the next step is. I got a couple of remaining little pieces of the original block for the wall that I didn't end up using yet. Thinking about, I need to actually build a little bit more of a retaining wall here because I don't want to leave that exposed. But the problem is it runs so close. Kind of give you a little perspective there. Runs rather close to the original wall, so I don't want to go back just like 4 or 6 inches, whatever, for that step and then go up. It just doesn't quite make sense. It makes more sense to go back further, but the only way I can really go back further, unfortunately, seems to be to add to the height of the wall so that I can make sure that that gets buried. So I've been thinking about, either I add another full block or maybe I add like these caps here, which adds another couple of inches. So I've been excavating out, trying to figure out what I'm dealing with, and then while I was excavating, I've been trying to be careful about the gravel that's already down here, and I was starting to run out of space. Let me take you down to the soil management. And apologies, neighbors have their gardeners over. They always seem to be doing heavy stuff, but this is what the gravel is looking like. And this is the bin with soil. I have another entire bin of soil over there. So this is filling up. So I started thinking, okay, before this fills up, I should free up one of these bins. But the other problem I've got is with the gravel itself and the way the sifter works. This is 1/4 inch not landscape fabric, hardware fabric. And it's 1/4 inch. They also make a 1/2 inch. So what I'm thinking is, because I want the gravel to be smaller, not the really big pieces, because it's easier to shift it around and set it like soil. So I want it to be a little bit more consistent. So that's why I'm trying to get the bigger pieces out, and so I'm into this whole crazy string of issues here. I think the real solution here is I'm going to have to get that 1/2 inch. I'm going to have to build another frame. That way I can take this gravel, run it through the new frame, leaving me with only the smaller bits of gravel, less than a 1/2 inch. And that should make it much more consistent and easier to work with, especially if I'm going to be doing the entire hill and putting gravel pads here and there, just so I can move around. So that's what I'm thinking. I got to do that, and then I got to figure out also what I'm going to do I'm going to need another bin just about to be able to do anything. That, or I'm going to have to empty out one of these large bins onto the lawn or something. I don't want to get rid of too much soil because I want to make sure that if I raise the wall, I can actually backfill behind it. And remember, I'm kind of packing this stuff down. Well, actually, I guess I don't have to pack it down, but you can kind of see my thought process. And unfortunately, this has just kind of messed things up. But I mean, I knew that there were going to be issues that would have to be dealt with along the way. I just kind of thought maybe the wall was done. So I need to do some serious thinking on this, but in order to manage it all, I think I need to go get that hardware cloth and be able to do the actual sifting. Maybe what I can actually do, now that I think of it, is I could just pick an area here. I can put down some landscape fabric and just do it out in the open and just have a pile here until I get that end under control and running. Yeah, that might be a solution. I mean, I've got that little saucer there, but that ain't gonna be enough to do anything. I thought about sifting it into 5-gallon buckets, but that's kind of impractical. So I think what I need to do is get the hardware cloth and figure out if I've got enough wood here to build another frame and of what size. So a bit of figuring to do, and this video is already getting long enough, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up. I'll probably release the one I already did tonight, and then this one on Thursdays. They'll both be midweeks, and then hopefully I can get things kind of back on track and not have such long videos showing you all the things I'm running into. But this is the process. You know, unless you know ahead of time that you're going to need sifters and bins to hold everything, I'm guessing the big guys probably, the guys that do this every day, they probably just bring in a backhoe and carve it all out and start over, and then order up gravel from somewhere, dump all of their soil somewhere. But I mean, I'm a budget gardener. This is not about going out and spending a ton of money. But at some point you got to make decisions to buy certain things to make progress. So, and then I'll have that for any future sifting that I need to do. So that's where we are. I'm going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, take care of the ones you love, and may your thumb be green.